Howdy, everybody. It is time for another reworked. Gonna try to get caught up on these things. I've kind of fallen behind. Not to mention, I'm going a little bit cross-eyed from staring straight into this computer screen looking at footage, so thought I'd do something a little different. I've got quite a few of these to get caught up on, but anyways, what we're looking at today is going to be day 8 of the Pinhoti Project. It was a very, very, very special day. Carrying these cameras around and just flat out inconveniencing yourself with the equipment that you have to carry around to document this stuff is irritating, to say the least. But sometimes when things come together, especially in situations like day 8, I am so glad I'll have that hunt forever with Mr. Joe Brennan. He is a phenomenal guy, one that I can honestly contribute some of my success down there in Florida to. Not that I've never hunted with Joe before, so not in the sense that he's called up a turkey for me before, or took me on a private lease or something before, but just because I was a teenager, first time I went down there, and that place was so foreign to me. Just his little bit of encouragement and a point in the right direction, and just some confirmation that there was turkeys there, and that that little bit of encouragement is all I needed to keep me there. And and by staying there, I grew to love the place, and have been back every year since. So I owe Joe much more than just this one turkey hunt, but it was sure fun to do this hunt and have the camera behind him as he killed this gobbler, and not to mention it came together so beautifully. Really couldn't ask for much more. And then to hear him after the hunt, as appreciative as he was, and even mentions that he thinks that's the only gobbler that he's ever killed that he didn't call up. That was like icing on the cake. I just put a smile on my face. Day 8 was the tops. One of, if not the best hunt, in my opinion, of the whole season. So glad it came together. But anyways, we'll dive into the strategy and the decisions we made to get us where we were. As far as location, I'm going to give Squirrel another pat on the back here, because this is an area that he had found the year before, just doing some scouting or maybe some hunting or whatnot during the season, and it looked good. I think he found some gobbler sign and wanted to get back there this season because he didn't have a chance to really hunt it well last season. And to add to that, rumor had it that they had a fire in there a month or so before turkey season. So February fires are real good in the Everglades down there. So we got on the buggy, as you guys saw, and we found the fire late that evening, and was able to look at a few buggy paths and roads, and able to find some strut sign, which confirmed our suspicions that the gobblers were still there, and the burn had them in there even thicker. So it was a beautiful spot, as you guys saw, and seeing those gobbler tracks and the strut sign, our expectations were pretty high the next morning, and we'll hop in there to it. Let's see. This is us doing the initial owling. We went down that same road that we cut the strut sign on the evening before, which you guys saw right at the end of day 7. And just kind of went down the road and heard a turkey gobble a handful of times, and that kind of gave us an area that we wanted to kind of target. We kind of heard the bird gobble, and like you've heard me say before, as soon as we gobble, we're trying to get a pin. We're trying to figure out exactly, using satellite imagery, exactly where he's at, whether he's in a cypress head or in a pine flat, or wherever he's at. We're trying to target exactly which one he's in, so we can make a calculated approach on that area without risking bumping him, and try to get in as close as we possibly can without boogering him or his hens in this situation. But let's see, here we go. And you can hear me saying, put a pin on him, put a pin on him. Like, we heard him gobble, get your direction, figure out an approximate, distance that you think he is, and get an idea on where he's at, so that if he doesn't gobble again, these turkeys in this area particularly are notorious for not doing a whole lot of gobbling. We got really lucky this year. You've heard me say that before too, and we got really lucky this morning. This bird gobbled pretty doggone well, and so when he gobbled at that owl, I was wanting to try to get a pin on him as soon as possible, and they did shut up for quite a while right after this, right as it began to get a little bit more daylight and we started making tracks toward him. He quit gobbling, but he did gobble enough for us to keep a bearing on him and continue to make good decisions and not get off track and get out of hearing distance or bump him or something of that nature. So we can skip forward to that. Nothing real special there as far as getting in position, other than every time we'd hear him gobble, we'd stop and recalculate. We'd reposition ourselves to try to make sure that we were making that calculated approach. And as you can watch in this video, we're a little bit more hasty if you compare it to like day one, where we were really slow moving because the turkey wasn't gobbling and we weren't sure where he was, so we didn't want to bump him. So we were very reserved in our approach. This situation, he was gobbling enough to where we could almost we knew we weren't going to bump him, so we were trying to close the distance and get to him as quick as possible, because here again, we're hunting very, very, very heavily hunted public land right here. And it's important to get on the bird, get as close as you can to the bird, and essentially kill him before somebody boogers it up. And as you heard in this video, just as that turkey's in shotgun range and Joe's trying to get a shot, you hear another hunter come in from the back and start yelping because another hunter had heard him gobble, and we were, probably just a handful of minutes from having that whole hunt boogered. But that's happened to me on this tract of land a handful of times, having a turkey in shotgun range and having another guy come in and almost booger him before I was able to seal the deal. But we'll bump forward here. Let's see, I've made me a few notes this time. As far as the setup, essentially we got as close as we could. You saw the burn, you saw how open it was. Here again, it's flat ground. So these guys are up in pine trees. They can see a really long way, so you gotta be careful. But we got as close as we could, which was probably 250 yards, and set up shop. And this is something I like to do. You've probably seen me do it a couple times already, and you'll probably see me do it more. When we set up, I'll step out in front of our setup and get away from the trees that we're setting up on, and I'll do my initial call sequence like a hen flying down or whatever, and that's what I'm doing here. Some soft tree talk, clucking, tree yelps, and then I may take my wing out. I always carry a wing with me, and I'll beat the fire out of this situation was palmettos or pine tree limbs, whatever was close, and sound like a hen flying down, just trying to be realistic, just trying to give that gobbler, or the hens in this case, both, exactly what they would hear, any other day. I just want to make it as realistic as possible. So that's what's going on there. I'll try to bump forward just a touch here. Hear me tree calling to him there. And here I come back. So I've obviously already done the fly down and all that kind of good stuff. So anyways, as far as the calling to this turkey, let's see, it's bumped forward to about right there. As soon as we sat down, I done that little sequence and we sat down, that's when the hen spoke up. And for the first time, that's when the hen spoke up, and that's when I even put it on the screen there that that just changes things, because that changes everything. When a gobbler's got hens, everything you had in your mind should be out the window, because you're gonna have to approach the situation completely different. For the most part, I call to the hens in that situation. She's the one I'm most interested in, because I know she's the one that's going to dictate what happens next. And essentially that's what happens with the calling sequence here. As she yelps, I always try to take what the hen says and mimic it, which is a routine or a strategy that a lot of people use when it comes to kind of trying to get under a hen's skin. And I always try to take it up one like level, if there is levels in calling, one level of aggression, just trying to provoke her. It's kind of like trying to be a bully, trying to pick on her a little bit and see if I can provoke her to get aggressive. Because my favorite hen is that hen that as soon as she hears me, she flies off the handle and starts cutting, and cutting really aggressively and just really climbing on on me, thinking it's an intruding hen, because those are the hens that I find are the most receptive and the most likely to come in. So that's what I'm trying to provoke here. That's what I'm trying. That's the stage I'm trying to set, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to provoke her a little bit to see if I can get her to, basically fly off the handle and become that, super aggressive hen who will charge in for a fight. Because that usually spells success when she's got a boyfriend. So, let's see if we landed in the right spot here. See, like in that situation, you heard her yelp. He gobbled, and she yelped at him. And when she got done yelping, I give two sharp cuts, like a pick. Then I just repeated what she did, just trying to bring it up one hint of aggression over what she just said. I'm trying to take it up just one notch. And that's exactly what I did there without just going crazy. And then I think I even step on her a little bit harder in this next little spot. If you heard that, that's exactly what she started. She yelped again, and that's when I cut back at her harder, a little bit harder. Once again, just trying to, I guess, test the waters, push my luck, I guess, and try to get her to get aggressive. Try to get her to, look for a fight. Try to get her to join in this disagreement I'm trying to paint here. She really doesn't fall for it, not 100% anyway. She does continue to yelp quite a bit. The gobbler's really responsive to everything we're doing. So this whole calling sequence from beginning all the way until the turkey gets in shotgun range is somewhat unstructured, because she never gave me what I was looking for. And the turkey, while he gobbled pretty well, he didn't just cut off every call that we threw at him like the turkey did on day one. So everything's unstructured. I'm trying to formulate a plan the whole time that we're working this turkey. On the way in to the setup, we noticed that the road that we were on had a lot of tracks on it, so we felt for sure that that they were hopefully going to drift our way, or we felt like our odds were good that we were in the right spot. So, anyways, I just kept trying to respond to her. When she flew down, she kind of clammed up, but he kept gobbling a little bit. There was a little downtime there. I think it was 10 or so minutes worth of downtime, and that's when this happened. Let's see. Something about right here, I think. There she is. Okay, she just shows up out of the blue. Now you're questioning yourself, is this his hen? He had more than one hen. Is this just a random hen that maybe even come from the totally different direction? You don't know. But you do know you've said something right in order to pique the curiosity of the turkeys in the area. So at this point, when you have a hen under your belt, you don't call. You let her do her thing. And we had the sun glaring on us, no telling what made her a little bit nervous, or even if she was nervous, maybe she just got there and knew there was supposed to be a turkey there and there wasn't one. Anyways, that happened there. She moved out of the way, and we're questioning ourselves, where's the hen? Was that his hen? What not? And that's when he gobbles as she's walking off way to the left, lets us know he has drifted way up into our area there, kind of into our into our ballpark. And let's see, we'll bump forward to where he gets here, somewhere right in here. Okay, this is me telling Squirrel, this turkey keeps drifting left, which is where we believe that hen went. And as he's drifting left, I'm telling Squirrel if he keeps going left, we're fixing to go right back to kind of the two-man deal there, the two-man strategy. If he keeps drifting left, he's going to have to get on his belly and start crawling away from us to try to steer that gobbler. You know, just try to act like a steering wheel and steer that gobbler back across the front of us sitting there so Joe can get a shot. And then what happens next is a lot like day one. This turkey's just out of sight, and I get him to gobble. And what I do when he gobbles is I flip the, just flip a switch and cut right back at him, and really just try to break him, make him want to come for that one look. All we need is one look. And that's exactly what happens there. He gobbles, and I crawl right on top of him. He gobbles a couple more times there, and I keep feeding him, and then it's nothing. We're gonna let him sit on that because with him already covering that much territory to get to advance on us, that lets me know that his mind is made up. That lets me know that he's if he's covered that much ground, asking for 30 or 40 more yards is not a lot, I don't feel like. So that's kind of the mindset I have, is if he's covered this much ground, he's comfortable drifting this direction. All I'm trying to do is get him to steer a little bit off course, to have a look at a hen that he's heard since before fly down. And that's exactly what we're doing. And if you listen there, you can hear the other hunter in the distance yelping. So it was about to go south quick. But fortunately for us, the big man made the wrong decision here. My battery's blinking at me. And there we go. Joe got his turkey. So anyway, my battery's blinking at me. I think I'm about to shut off here. But that's day 8. I hope you guys enjoyed it. That's the decisions that led up to Joe getting his gobbler, and led to the end of one of the best days that I believe I've had in turkey hunting in quite a while. That was a lot of fun. If you guys have any more questions about this hunt or about others, just let me know. I'll be glad to try to snag them, and we'll try to get another one of these reworks done pretty soon.